Having this little Honda Insight has been one of the greatest experiences of my life, no joke. I've wanted one of these back when they were for sale, about $9,000. But the biggest problem I have with this is my long-range driver. This is the car that goes the distance. I love to listen to music while I'm going the distance. Problem is, this. It's not that it's stuck on that station, it's that the reverberation just shakes that speaker and you can't turn it up and enjoy it. Of course, there's not even a subwoofer in there, there's just two speakers, so it's not like I'm gonna expect a lot out of this system, but I would like to hook up my phone, would like to listen to music at a higher quality than So the problem is that the stock radio system is either just trash or trashed. Either way, it's broken or it's always sucked. I went to Walmart to see if I could get a new radio system for as cheap as possible. So what did I get from Walmart? I got this. It was $20. It is not, it clearly says, not a CD player, but it's also got a front aux input, which is really the whole point of all of this. Is I was gonna originally put a cassette to aux cable into this system, but then I realized the whole system sucks to begin with. So it was $10 for the fake cassette to aux, or $20 for this. Now granted, this is just a head unit, and it's only 120 watts of power, and I'm not an audio expert, so I'm not going to tell you what that means. Don't forget, you end up having to get in something like this, which they also happen to have at Walmart. So what is this? It's a little connector to the stock system, because you could splice everything in from the head unit, but you instead connect things from that to that, and you can remove the head unit with ease. The piece de resistance, the finest part, the big boy of the hour, $40 speakers for two speakers total. 6.5 inch if you guys are Insight guys and want to replace speakers on this car. This was like $7, the head unit was $20, and the speakers were $40 for a grand total of $68 or so before tax. First step I'm going to do is swap the stock speakers for these upgraded speakers and see if we notice a difference, and then ultimately replace the head unit. Step 1, remove the speaker cover. I just took off the right side and look at that, there's some weird creases. Let's see if that is actually the cause of that weird distortion.
Memorial Day, except for tires. Figured you can throw some popcorn in the air if it's...
So the rattle's coming from this area right here. It's this paper, cardboard, crappy stuff that's clearly worn its way through. So that is trashed. So what comes in a box of speakers from Walmart? Oh, mounting screws. Oh, that's actually kind of nice. And like little pigtails with bladed inserts. Ooh, fancy. Well, that's really it. Just a speaker, some fancy plastic stuff I will probably not need unless I want to make this car look crazy. Oh, those are the prongs that you plug into. Okay. I'm curious to see if the car will let me just plug this right in, or if we're gonna have to use the pigtails. Interesting. Of course it's going to come down to the head unit, but look at that. We got 4 ohm resistance, impedance, and that's the same on this one as well, but that's 50 watts there, and that's 15 watts there. Do I think that that will make, what, 3 times of a difference? No, because it depends on how much the head unit is giving out. So you got a beautiful side-by-side comparison. So it's pretty obvious that the stock connector is not going to fit on the aftermarket connector. So we're going to take those little pigtails, cut this off, splice the wire in right at there, and then have the aftermarket speaker work. So I'm going to use some pliers to bend these tabs up a little bit so that way it clears the plastic outer edge of the Insight's mounting. I am an impatient man, so I'm going to try one of the aftermarket ones with one of the OEM ones. So you can see the OEM ones on the right, which hasn't been fixed, and then I've got the left one, which is completely fixed.
So many more. Get ready to text in. Plus, I got music.
Well, the difference is pretty noticeable already. I'm gonna replace this one, and then we're gonna go all the way at it. Okay, there's the right side all done up. Needless to say, I am very impressed with how cheap and how quick of a process that was. Of course, a little bit of electrical work and a lot of care and love on plastic old pieces goes a long way. Mind you, that is just AM, FM, that's not even HD radio. So we're about to go and try out the head unit separately to see if I can crank those speakers up a little bit more, or if I just gain the functionality of having a modern head unit. So this is the old head unit. It doesn't even have a CD player. It has an old-fashioned cassette player, which was my original reason for doing all of this. Is there's no aux in. I'm sure I could wire something, but no thank you. It's this little $20 unit. And most importantly is the front aux in. Sure, Bluetooth. I don't use Bluetooth, but USB input, which is very important to me, as maybe I can charge my phone slowly while I'm using this device. What do you get for $20? Well, not much, which is what you would expect to get for $20. That standard 1990s, early 2000s techno front. Of course, trying to look at it all fancy, and it doesn't need to be any of that. Some sort of, a little fancy cover for the USB port and aux. But more importantly is the stuff on the back. Of course, an antenna in. A remote. That's so thoughtful. But more importantly is this little cable here. And I'm going to guess, yep, sure enough, the cables are just spliced, waiting to go. I could cut into the stock radio harness, figure that all out, or buy one of these and then splice into this. One end of this thing has the stock radio harness, and then we can cut into that from there. And sure enough, same thing on this end. Cables ready to be crimped. So these two are going to make sweet, sweet copper love to each other. The awesome part is, oh, nice. This actually tells you, for a Honda, what these wires do. Fortunately, stereo systems tend to conform to a wire pattern color standard, and sure enough, that's the case here. I went and looked at this little connector from, not my penis, from the radio all the way to this end, and then that matches all of these colors on this end of the Honda Insight one. I don't know if they're all used, but everything except for the orange and orange-white wires are, well, fitted to these. I thought this would be a little bit more self-explanatory, but I found out after reading online, you have to remove the glove box to remove this bottom plastic piece to then remove the ultimate head unit right there. I just pulled 2 screws from the bottom there and there. There we go. So then we've got those 2, and hopefully that's it. So there are metal clips on the back of this thing, but it's terrifying, and I just wanted to record it before I break my car. Oh, okay, there we go. There is nothing on this side, by the way, on the driver's side. I just took out 4 screws here. Oh, okay, that was it. That's all it took. Thankfully, there are no surprises to this. There's the antenna, and then this beast right here, which hopefully matches up to one of these ends. Not that one, but thankfully that one. I've got a bit of a problem. I took that little sheath off of the outside of this little guy, and then something came apparent. There is the mounting tabs on the stock one, there's the aftermarket one, and that hole right there has no hole to go to. So I've got 1 hole, but not 2. We're gonna figure that one out together. So this step is gonna be a big pain in the ass, so I'm gonna fast forward through it, but I'm literally just gonna connect wire to wire until I run out of wires. It is very rare that I'm actually embarrassed on this channel, but this is genuinely embarrassing. None of these wires are soldered or crimped. They're simply spliced and twisted into place with some duct tape or electrical tape. The point is that this is what you would do with a $20 head unit. You would not go fancy on everything else if you were spending only $20. So this is a budget build, but it hurts me so much to do this. But there you go. I want to plug this end into the car. New custom radio hooked up to old car. One last thing, the antenna. Before we go any further, I just put 1 screw there, and we're going to fire this up for the first time. Let's see what happens. Oh, nothing. Maybe that. Okay, there we go. Needless to say, that was a success, and quite frankly, you could go slightly cheaper if you got rid of that dongle and just wanted to trash your wiring on your car. But in my case, I chose to do the more removable thing. Regardless, this is impressive. I'm blown away. The Bluetooth, which I can't record and play at the same time because it's all copyrighted music, sounds phenomenal. You just heard what it sounded like just on the radio. Non-HD. Sounds amazing. I don't get it. I'm very impressed. So needless to say, the $20 head unit and the $40 speakers passed the test. There are no other speakers in this car. I found that there are only 2 in the front And that's it, but they bump. And without a subwoofer, the car sounds phenomenal. It's perfect for daily driving. Okay, here's the real test.